Hey everyone, this is Louis7 and I am streaming the Lord of the Rings online. I will be playing my Beorning. I am going to be tanking some Moria instances. And YouTube has been a little bit slow with getting my stream up. I had the same problem the last one. But fortunately I started a couple minutes earlier than scheduled, so we should be all good by time 6:45, at least my time, comes around. And it looks like I crafted this character as level 58 armor. I have not done anything with jewelry, but the thing I want to do now is go to Bree, the boar fountain, to get the VIP daily thing, the town services and the subscribers jug. Hey Stan JN, you said you thought I fell asleep. I did not fall asleep. Fortunately, that would have been bad to fall asleep before this stream and before these Moria instances. Okay, I think everything's working, but if y'all hear a little bit of noise in the background, that's just because my air conditioner's on, because for some reason it decided to just totally not turn on at all for the past couple hours, and it's getting really warm in here. And I just kind of remembered that it hasn't kicked on, so I decided to turn it on real quick before, or not before, but at the beginning of the stream. So I think the main things I need to do on this character, I also need to get his LI set up, but otherwise I'm just going to be waiting for the instances. The event starts at 7 p.m. my time, 8 p.m. server time, and yeah, just pretty much waiting for that, getting this character set up and doing the things on him. There is actually one more thing I want to do on him that I just remembered. I have stuff to get the return to Bree skill, that reputation stuff, on another character, so I have to send it to him. So I'll probably, I think that's on my runekeeper, so switch to him and send that over. We should be able to do that all within like 15 minutes. But wanted to go ahead and get this because it's just nice to always have, especially in instances where you can very easily sell. And hello, Luke Margui. He said, do you remember when the 21st hall was the crowdiest place in Moria? And actually all of LOTRO, those were good times. I don't remember that too much. I remember it used to be more crowded than it is now, but by time I got to Moria, it was already the Rise of Isengard expansion. At least I think the Rise of Isengard expansion was out by that point. Not my captain, my runekeeper. But yeah, it's kinda, it was nice, even thinking other towns like Galtrav, the one in Rise of Isengard, seeing some of those early places crowded, now they're just so empty. It was definitely nice when things like that were crowded and you just see so many people running around in those towns. Kind of the main hubs for whatever expansion or time period it was. I feel like as LOTRO has gotten older and there are just so many more cities, towns, and those main hubs, that each one becomes less and less populated. So what am I doing on this character? Sending stuff to my Beorning. I think, yeah, here's all my reputation stuff. So this will allow my Beorning to get his return to Bree skill just from the barter. Something very useful to have that the character did not have yet. Unfortunately, I had all of the supplies ready just on the wrong character. They were left over from when my runekeeper got his return to Bree skill, and it looks like LOTRO does that very frequently. If you click things too fast while it's loading, it'll have that little spinny thing and say it's not responding, but usually it will start responding. Unfortunately, this time it did. Now just waiting for the load. It's been a long time since I have had really long load times. LOTRO has been much better. It's been, again, a long time, but before I had a solid state drive, it used to load very slowly, and just in general, I think the performance has been better with a solid state drive. So what am I doing on this character? So I do have one announcement for tomorrow. I plan to do basically an all-day stream after the morning hours and after I eat lunch, and I usually eat lunch like very early. So after that I will start streaming. I'm going to be doing Minas Morgul on Louisden, and I just plan to go until I get tired of it. Like, it could go for 8 hours, something like that. Pretty loose how long it actually lasts, but the point is that I plan to spend basically that entire day streaming LOTRO, doing the Minas Morgul content. So that should be exciting, especially because I'm enjoying that so much. And I decided that I could take the opportunity of having an off day tomorrow and do that. So what am I need return to Bree. I can go ahead and barter for that, but oh no, I can't barter for it. It made me think I could barter for it, but I need the reputation is basically how it works, and here we go. Now I should have return to Bree, so I can easily get back to Bree, and that also means I can easily get back to the subscriber town service person that daily that you can get now for these two very OP items. But yeah, I think I just need to go to Moria, maybe settle a little bit of my quest. I don't think the title has specifically what instances we're running, but I think we're going to be doing Grand Stair, Filgashin, and maybe, what's the other one? Forges of Khazad-dûm. I think those are the options. I'm not entirely sure which ones we're doing. Oh yeah, it's really weird. South Bree doesn't have a swift travel there, something I am not used to, but I do have my map home to Anazar Meckham, which I probably should have made it to the 21st hall because I'm pretty sure I have some quest turn-ins there. But Luke, you stopped rather, playing just after the mounted combat expansion. So you still have your lifetime subscription, it sounds like. That mounted combat expansion was Riders of Rohan, and I know many players that stopped playing, and I started playing less frequently at that time. But I feel like LOTRO, especially the past couple years, has been a lot better with content than like the days of mounted combat and things like that. But you also tried to get back to the game several times but couldn't find the commitment to do so. Yeah, that is one problem. If you like stop playing a game, it can be hard to get back into it. That I could definitely agree with. I had a little bit of a hard time getting back into LOTRO when I just wasn't playing it as much, which was kind of starting around the Riders of Rohan time, and eventually I was able to make it back and enjoy some of the updates. There was update 18 in particular. Well, I got 45 LOTRO points from just doing all that reputation stuff. It's pretty crazy. And this stuff is really cheap at the skirmish camp, or at least I should say really cheap for how many marks and medallions I have, just because I don't really spend my marks and medallions. Saving them up in case I do find something like the Scrolls of Empowerment. You know, those things are pretty good to get from the skirmish camp, starting at level 100, but we'll actually see if they do an LI revamp, how that will be. So you also said Forges was challenging at the time. So the Moria instances, I wouldn't say are challenging anymore, but there still is kind of a little bit of challenge with them. Forges, I think, is one of the tougher ones just because of some of the mechanics. You have to really know that and know how the instances work. But in general, they are definitely easier than they used to be and are not really a challenge. They're pretty quick to run through. And Stan, to go back to your message, you said you wish it would be possible to at least find some groups for instances on lower levels. That is one thing I really liked about the legendary servers when they were new and like freshly launched. There were so many groups for low level content because all the players were concentrated there, and for even a while, for a couple weeks at least, they were the most popular servers, so you had a bunch of people in them as well to run that content. But after just a few weeks, the popularity of legendary servers, I mean like the in-game population, went down pretty quickly. And then on those servers, not many people were running the lower level instances. I could still find a few groups. I think it was still more common than the regular servers, but I think even now it might be easier to find low-level groups on the regular servers. But even then, as you mentioned, it's pretty hard to find some like on-level groups for lower-level instances at LOTRO, and I think that's really unfortunate because, at least to me, the low-level instances are some of the most fun. And it's just very fun, I think, to do them while leveling. And that does include like the non-scaling ones, like the Ingmar instances are very fun to do on level, the Moria ones I'm going to be doing, and things like that. So the Moria instances, Luke, you're asking if they're soloable nowadays. You remember you used to need 3 to 6 people to complete the instances. So some of them are close to soloable, I would say. So my character was able to solo at least the first couple bosses in Grand Stair, and it wasn't the biggest challenge, it was just a little bit slow. So I would say depending on your class and your familiarity with the instances, maybe they are soloable. I'm trying to remember if there are any mechanics that you really need more than one person. Like, I know there are some instances, just because of mechanics, they aren't technically soloable. Even if the difficulty is like basically nothing, just mechanics blocking you that require more than one person. But in general, I'd say they are best run with more people. They're still like rated as 6-man fellowships. I don't know how many of those I have unlocked that I can show, but at least these two, Forgotten Treasury and the Grand Stair, and also Forges of Khazad-dûm and what's the other one? Filgashan. Those are all like rated for 6 people, but they are pretty easy, and that's pretty much with all the low-level group content in LOTRO. It's just pretty easy now. Like, sometimes even soloing Great Barrow isn't the biggest deal anymore, just with how easy things have gotten in LOTRO at low level. In a way, I think it's actually good that low-level instances are easy, because if you are a new player and try to do instances, you probably don't want to have the toughest time right away. But at the same time, I wish there was... Some instances have like tier 2 and tier 3 and things like that you can run to increase the difficulty, but there isn't really much reward for doing so, especially at low level. Like at high level, at endgame, you get better gear, and it's worth doing higher tier instances for that. But at low levels, it doesn't really matter, and you don't actually get anything better. So if they gave maybe like more XP for doing tier 2 or just higher difficulty, that'd probably encourage players to run higher difficulty content at lower levels, but otherwise it never feels worth it. So I'm just going to turn in these quests and pick up these quests. Forges, that would be good. And I don't know if I have any other quests to turn in. It doesn't look like it. I do have a ton of quests for the instances, but I don't think the ones we're going to be doing today. I'm pretty sure I finished all of those. I guess I can keep that quest, it's just going. I'm just going to keep picking it up, so might as well keep it and then just cancel it when we're done with Moria. But yeah, so Juan David, you asked how long the game is going to last for. And, well, first of all, I'm not sure, but LOTRO is already like 13 years old, I want to say. Maybe almost 13 and a half years old even. So it's a pretty old game, and if you asked if, like at the start, how long I would have thought it lasted, I probably wouldn't have said like 13 years, because it's just a really long time for a game to last. But also at that time I wasn't really familiar with the MMO genre, and that that MMOs in general tend to last a long time. Not all of them, some of them are like shut down and things like that. But fortunately, LOTRO is still running, and having the Lord of the Rings title to it, I think helps anybody interested in that. Will maybe eventually hear about LOTRO, and just there's always going to be some interest in the game, I think, just because of that. So, I don't know what I am doing at these vendors, just like clicking things while I talk. I'll go to this one, but oh, I should see. I don't think this guy has it, but I need to talk to the Beorning trainer here. Yeah, this one doesn't have what I want. I can actually start working on a 57 third age, but in fact I should have one, so maybe I'll do that if I have a little bit of time before we start the instances. But yeah, getting to the point, I'm not really sure how much longer LOTRO could last, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's another like 5 to 10 years even. That's a long time, but given that LOTRO has been going for so long, I don't really see it like completely dying in the near future. And perhaps like after 5 to 10 years, just so many things could happen, it could no longer be here. That's still like a big range, 5 to 10 years, but I really don't know. I think it's something interesting to think about. What am I doing here? I want to go to the last one and just get a bunch of these, because might as well use my Cuzdal tablets on something. And then before I forget, I want to go to the Beorning trainer, just because I've meant to do that many times now and keep forgetting. So let's go ahead and stay focused and find him. Oh, here he is, or here she is. And barter items, that's what I'm looking for. So I am interested in the set gear basically for the Beorning. I have the level 58 crafted gear. Yeah, this gear doesn't look that good. The purple one, that one, the incoming healing might be like a little bit okay. The outgoing healing could be interesting if I was a heal spec Beorning, but yeah, not interested in the set, unfortunately. I do want to see what it looks like though. Ooh, the shoulders. I don't like the shoulders that much. It was good up until the shoulders. It also doesn't die that well. Let's see what the purple set looks like. That one's a little bit better, but it also doesn't look like it dies that well. I don't know, the brown and gold colors just aren't something I'm too interested in. This one dies a little bit better, I think, but that's not something I'm interested in either too much. So to get back, Luke, you played LOTRO for 5 years straight, every single day from 2007 to 2012, and played casually until 2014. I started probably towards the latter half of your range. I think that's somebody in my kin. Yep. I started during the Siege of Mirkwood expansion. I enjoyed the game, especially leveling a lot around them. And you also love the game, and this is one of the best MMORPGs out there. So Juan David, you really hope so that LOTRO lasts a while. So do I. I have a lot of fun in here. I know a lot of people like to talk about it dying and all that sort of thing, but it's still here after all these years, so I just feel like there's always going to be naysayers as far as that goes. Yeah, these things, I'm pretty sure don't function as kind of how they advertise. That actually reminds me, I want to check the skirmish camp for something. And then I will build my ally if there is time. Sounds like we're going to be getting invites in a minute. But I think I get to the skirmish camp going this way. It gives it a little bit of separation from the actual like 21st Hall city. It's not really a city. That almost looks like somebody in my group that plays with us, but she has a red shirt instead of a green one. Anyway, what am I doing here? Legendary item person. So you can still, yeah, get a regular Influence Scroll of Empowerment. I wonder what the point of those max tier scrolls are from the Embers. vendor, just something to dump the embers on, maybe if you get so many. But because they don't function as catch-up mechanics like I thought they did, I don't think those are actually really worth spending the motes of enchantment. I know I have a ton of motes of enchantment on this server, and we don't even have like any content that technically deals with that. It's just because all of my characters get the 4 loot boxes, or not the 4 loot boxes. You get tons of loot boxes if you don't filter them. I have, I think, on all my characters these filtered, but I get 4 first because just from all like the anniversary boxes for playing LOTRO for however many years, I get those. I get 4 keys with those. But anyway, I can go ahead and should probably join their Discord. Wow. Discord always bugs me about my audio device when I specifically don't want it switched. That time it was being extra insistent that it wanted me to switch my audio devices, but yeah, I think everything with the audio should be working, which is really weird. Finally got a setup that actually seems to work. So Luke, I play on, this character is on Anor, but I also play on Arkenstone, so my regular server, like non-legendary server, has always been Arkenstone. And then the legendary servers came out, including Anor, and a lot of the people I used to play with back in the old days of LOTRO, they came back here, and quite a few of them still play here, so I still play a lot here as well. But I am starting to spend more time on Arkenstone again. I am looking for the legendary item person, which I guess doesn't actually matter because I can just use my town service thingy. And I can start building up my allies with this. Oops. So, chance for bonus wrath from slam, probably healing potency. And what I'm going to try to do is get this axe, this 3rd age axe, up. So this one is just the, plain Beorning is great axe at the 3rd age. It's already ready to reforge. So I just want to see what legacies I get and how much DPS it has, because it's level 57, so ideally it would be better than my level 54 or 55 or whatever I have on. And I also need something to use all these heritage runes. Good to get them out of my inventory. I was joining my Ken's Discord, and there we go. I was like not hearing people, but it just took a minute. So going to go ahead and apply all of these. Chance for Raspin, that one's actually pretty good for tanking, I think. So it looks like I got it to level 26. So I'll go ahead and get the weapon DPS way up. And that probably means it's getting better than my old one. Where's my old one? Over here? Yeah, that's my old one, the tempered tree cutter. I need whatever comes after tempered. I had like tree cutter and then tempered tree cutter, like tempered steel. Not that that's actually what it's made of or anything, but I don't know what would actually come after that. But it looks like compared to the old one, the level 55 one, I do want to keep the level 57 one equipped. I just gotta get some of my relics and things settled. And I don't think, yeah, that one's not ready to deconstruct, so I don't have anything ready to deconstruct, so that helps, so we don't have to go through all that quickly. So probably Vitality and Crit is good. And then runes. Runes, I want the incoming healing and block rating. I'm pretty sure I am tanking. We actually have another option of a class that could tank. Alright, so I think we are about ready. I can do the... Sorry, it's just like taking me a minute to get like really set up here and ready for the instance. For some reason I'm just going a little bit slow today, I feel like. Yeah, I want a relic combination because I have a ton of these things to deconstruct. I could technically lock everything except these relics and I could deconstruct a little bit faster, but I found out if I do that I do have to lock everything else because it doesn't work as I thought. So if I do all and like select the stack, it actually deconstructs everything and not that stack like I thought it did. So NWKB, hello, and you asked if there was any way to buy one content pack to get the full experience. Last time you tried to play, you were overwhelmed that all the content was a la carte. So unfortunately, it's still the same way. It's one of the things that I think isn't that good with LOTRO, the monetization system. They really created a lot of confusion with the way it works, and as you said, it overwhelms especially new players, being a la carte where you have to buy like the certain areas and you don't really get an idea, I don't think, of what you get from them. And that's actually a topic in an upcoming video I'm going to have. And look, thank you for joining this stream. But yeah, with the monetization, it's unfortunately not that great. Karim, you asked why I have an X on my lore master. I am playing a Beorning here. I hope I didn't say I was like on a lore master. Yeah, I'm on a Beorning, so that's why I have an axe. We don't have a lore master here in this group. And I don't think any of my lore masters, if you're referring to like another video, I don't think I have an axe on any of them. Oh, trying to think. There we go. So I kind of forgot I titled this instance to talk about class and instances, so I think it's a good time to start that. So I think we've already actually talked a little bit about the instances, which is good. That, well, leveling, I think instances are very enjoyable, and as I mentioned, oh, I missed that fellowship maneuver. It's not the most important thing, but I was actually trying to get to it. I guess I could go in bear form. But yeah, I really think it's super fun to do instances while leveling. In the Moria ones, and also the Ingmar ones, they don't scale with level. So I think it's just really good to try to do them on level if you can actually find an on level group. Fortunately, with my kinship, everybody here is in my kin. We have like a level progression group that consistently does this every Sunday evening. And even like in previous weeks, we've done it more frequently before the epic battles came out on the server. Okay, that guy's just going to be really annoying, so that's okay. I was going to ignore him, but then everybody in my group took care of everybody else. Wow, and these guys ran totally past my maul and my swipe missed. I'm having some like really bad combat streaks here. Everything missing, these guys running away and somehow dodging my relentless maul. This horde rider running like a mile away from me. So Stan, you asked about the Lore Master, when am I going to do some questing with them? I am not entirely sure, but I actually do plan to get back to my Anor LM series at some point in the future. I wonder if we have a deed. Yeah, we do have a deed to kill orcs. Might as well kill them. We're here for XP and fun and killing orcs, so might as well kill these 3 orcs, even if they're technically not required. And they always like, I kind of forget about it, but they always like attracting these orc riders. Oh, I can't interrupt him from that far away. So one thing with this instance, to talk about the one we're actually going through, it's a little bit weird. I like it, but it took me so long to actually figure out which way to go. For some reason, I always felt like when I did this, groups would go like totally different ways, even though the way we go is, I'm pretty sure, the way you're like traditionally supposed to go. Were we doing challenge or non-challenge? Okay. So we're doing the non-challenge mode. I just thought about that with this room because it kind of determines where you go with this room, but yeah, this instance was just super confusing for the longest time, and I ran it like so many times and still didn't know where to go. But I think I finally, especially maybe after tanking, feel like I have an idea where to go. It's just kind of crazy how many times it took me to know where to go. It was, I would say, even more of a maze than Great Barrow, which has a whole maze wing to it. I guess he was just hitting me from range because this goblin rider was still aggro to me. Oh. Oops. Apparently, we are supposed to still run to the other boss, the second boss in the non-challenge mode, to get the Devoted, so we can get him for the quest for people that have those. And this is, for anybody wondering, I talked that I soloed a little bit of the Grand Stair. This is the part I did in my last stream on this character. Thanks. I have some new gear to equip, so hopefully I should become easier to heal. Oh, I didn't get the boots equipped, can't do that in combat. Oh wow, the hunter. If I can find my sacrifice, it always takes me a minute to find my skills again if I haven't played a character in a while. I really like my keybind setup though for the Beorning. I found something that works pretty well on those. I think they ran past my force taunt too. These are some of the most annoying mobs in all of Moria. They're not quite mounted combat mobs. They don't have the same like algorithms or whatever they have for them to work, but they're still very annoying and almost mounted combat like, because of course these mobs came out before mounted combat or anything like that, but they're still annoying in a similar way. But these ones can dart around like even faster than the war steeds, and it's super weird and annoying. But what was, oh yeah, I need to equip my boots. I wonder if I have any other gear pieces. That one probably won't equip. I think you have to go, yeah, up to these steps and I'll start the boss. So I think on the next pull I'll go ahead and get everything. But yeah, as you all can see, this is actually, it has a little bit of challenge in it. Like, even though I was able to solo it, it was a little bit slow. I'm not sure, like this fight, this room, you just see like how much damage the hunter was taking is what made me think about that. That it's not all super easy, at least. And it's a lot harder than it used to be. They actually had it for a period where it was extremely easy to go through these and like didn't have to think about anything. At least now it is a little bit more difficult. I think they did the balance changes maybe a little bit into when the legendary servers got here. Whoa. Okay, I'll go ahead and force taunt everything. Oh, and I pulled that. I saw I didn't pull the other group. I thought I actually did, so I tried to step back, but looks like I still got them, but that is okay. As far as I'm concerned, that just means more fun for me, but if the group's not ready for that, or if I tend to let some orcs loose. So another thing I did want to talk about with this stream, other than just instances, is classes and instances. So just kind of thinking about how classes fit into instances and doing them a little bit. Of course, I'll talk about, I think, the Beorning and the instances we're doing. So one thing with the Beorning that I talk about all the time is how fun they are. And the tank spec and even the healing spec, even though I don't play that one quite as much. I wonder if this ring is actually worth it. The fate, I'm not sure on. I lose actually fate, I lose agility, but I gain like 50 vitality, which is like 250 morale. I'm actually going to pass on. I don't think it's going to be an upgrade. Okay, so we need to go back to the org boss. But as far as like, I don't know, I guess what classes fit in game content and just in group content in general, what the meta is a little bit. One thing that they have been doing better is trying to make like all the classes, the DPS classes, their specs viable. But one thing they actually did for a while that they went a little bit back on was making classes that were like traditionally non-DPS, making their DPS spec actually good and viable, where they could even be taken in group content for the DPS spec. So I was actually okay with that, good with that. You know, increasing variety and in-game content, allowing players to play the spec they want and be able to do it in group content, I think is a good thing. And a lot of other games go by that philosophy as well, but when they introduced that, I think there was just a lot of negative backlash from the community, like the endgame raiders, those type of people. Because traditionally, like, the minstrel was the healer class and they weren't DPS in any instances. And similarly, guardian was like the tank class and they never did any DPS. But then they made like the redline minstrel viable and made the redline guardian viable, and then they nerfed them because people didn't really like that, I think. I don't know necessarily that they were too strong. I don't even know if they nerfed them just because of community feedback that people didn't want them to be viable. I don't really know the reasons for all the changes Standing Stone Games does, but that's kind of what it seemed like from my perspective. So that's kind of one thing. Don't know how the burglar died. I wasn't paying too much attention. It looked like he got one shot or something from what I saw, but again, I wasn't paying attention. These are actually almost a little bit better. So these have less armor because they're medium armor, but they have more vitality. I do lose some might. I gain physical mastery. I don't think the physical mastery I gain is actually, I almost make up for it. It might not quite, but I'll pass on those. It was just worth considering for a brief moment there. But what was I going on? Oh yeah, about like Minstrel and Guardian when the DPS specs were made viable and then nerfed. Again, I don't know the reason Standing Stone Games would like do that, but my guess would be because of like community feedback on that, even though it's something I actually would disagree with, that I saw players, they like didn't like that sort of thing. And I get the idea that if like Minstrel and Guardian are going to be the best tanks and healers, or actually the other way around, Minstrel's like the good healers and the Guardians the good tanks, which I have another thing on that, is that Captains are actually better than Guardians at tanking at the moment, but that people didn't want those classes to also be like the best at DPS, which I can see that perspective. But at the same time, I don't think it's bad that they're at least, the DPS specs are at least viable. They don't necessarily have to be the best DPS. They could still be viable where you could run and even run some of the toughest content on those specs. It won't like set you back too much. But with LOTRO and game balance, there's just so much going on, and DPS and player performance really depends on how well people play their class and really go into the things that maximize DPS, like weapon swapping and those sort of things that don't really depend on necessarily how well you play your class, or even how well you know your class, just know like what you need to do for in-game and rotations and that sort of stuff, which is a little bit with a class, but kind of focusing on the instance here a little bit, losing my train of thought. I don't think I quite said that exactly as I meant, but yeah, just like, I guess with in-game rotations, oh, where was I going? I like completely lost my train of thought with where I was going with that. I don't know if there's any salvaging it. This might be a little bit of a tough pull I'm doing here, but I'll go ahead and actually use my cooldown. I don't know if I'm just lagging. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I wanted to try it. But I do seem to have a little bit of delay the past day or two with my skills, and maybe it is with the server issues that some people have. Yeah, these guys have a ton of inductions, a ton of heals. It looks like the green ones are usually heals and the red ones are usually going to be like damage inductions, I think. Okay, so that was a pretty crazy goal pull again. I don't know, I felt like it was something we could handle. Yeah, it got a bit close there, but the heals were good. But that's just another thing, I guess, to show that this constant isn't necessarily extremely easy just because of how much damage we were taking. And again, for a minute, I thought there were a few people that were going to die, but the heals got them up. I don't even know which Runekeeper is healing, actually. Oops, I did not mean to use Maul there. I like totally wasted the cooldown, and I don't even know if I got the Force Taunt out of it. It's so windy outside. I don't know if you all can hear it, but Well, you probably hear my air conditioner over the wind, but it's just super windy where I am. I don't know what's going on with those fellowship maneuvers. We're just making colorful ones. Pretty sure at some point he does some like ground effect that I need to move out of. Maybe that was it. No, I can't really see since I backed myself into a corner. Wonder if I can get 15k more out with this. Ooh, close, 14.8k. So the Ferocious Roar, that gives me plus 15% maximum morale. Then I also get increased morale in bear form. Now let's see, that gives... Oh, maybe it's a trade and just doesn't say on the skill, but it gave me about 2,000, so I thought maybe I could get up to 15,000. It'd just be a nice number to get to. Alright, so now I get to loot another chest. So I had a pretty fulfilling dinner. I guess I ate a lot, but it seems like maybe before these streams, usually I eat dinner a little bit before the streams. It's just the way it works with my schedule of eating, but I don't think I want those shoulders. But I don't know if I just ate more this time because I feel a little bit stuffed, and it's kind of odd, but since it's been like probably about an hour since I actually ate. Looks like actually a little bit more, an hour and a half. So probably unrelated to that, but anyway, that was just a random thing. Ooh, they almost tossed me way off that. Wow, I've never seen these guys. Wow, am I on? I don't know why I was running there. If I like accidentally triggered auto run or something. But that was pretty crazy. So thinking back to instances, I was talking about like in-game meta a little bit, not necessarily the meta, but just some philosophy on the in-game balance and things like that. Balance specifically with the classes. And one thing with like versatile classes, this is one that I want to get to with the Beorning, is that typically, I think players and even Standing Stone games think they should not necessarily be the best at each role. So the Beorning is a good tank. The Beorning is not a great DPS, but they're sufficient for leveling and things like that. I'm stunned here, so I cannot taunt that. I'm just gonna use all my taunts. And something like that I get the idea of again, but I wouldn't mind if the Beorning was like a viable, they're a viable tank. You just generally prefer captains, I think. I'm not sure exactly what people would pick Guardian versus Beorning right now, because I know Guardians were in a rough spot. I think recently some of the changes helped them a little bit. But then even thinking healer, Beornings have a healing line as well. I don't think it's necessarily the best, but I'm thinking usually like raid groups want one. I was caught up with the in-game meta for a little bit and got caught a little bit behind again. That's just one thing. Probably something I could have started with. Is as far as like end-game grouping and what people want for raids and things, it frequently changes depending on the current patch, the latest like buff or nerf was, and whatever the flavor of the month really is. It's kind of what it boils down to. For like, just for example, for a while there, everybody was talking about the Lightning Runekeeper and being too powerful, and then they were nerfed and then too weak, and then they were buffed a little bit, but they're still like weak compared to the top DPS, which I believe are Burglar and Warden right now, and even Champion's pretty good with their recent buffs. So just things like that, the endgame balance constantly changes, and it's similar with tanks. For a long while there, was Guardians were always just like the top sturdy tank, and then Captains overtook them, which plays back into my previous topic about supports. I think I'm hearing a super weird noise, but it might just be some echoing. Somebody has the drum so they can keep the beast asleep. But that means we can't fight it as far as I know, which is boring. That's why I cry there. But back to Captain, they're also a versatile, like, all-around class. Yet, they are viable tanks. They're the best tanks in the game, in fact, right now. So that wouldn't really play along with their idea that versatile classes that can do like everything, they're the jack of all trade type classes basically, that they shouldn't be the most powerful at each of the roles. And even Captains, their DPS spec is probably one of the best DPS specs in the game. Unless you actually, oh, you still have to kill him. Unless you think about it in terms of the actual damage the Captain does, then they're pretty weak. But if you consider all the damage they provide to a group, there's a reason every group wants a redline Captain, because they provide so much damage. So because of that, they're also can definitely be considered like one of the best DPS specs in a different way than just their actual damage output. I know it's like super slow to finish that sentence, but thinking about what we're doing in the instance a little bit. Oh yeah, loot the chest. Don't want to forget that. Actually, my inventory is full. I should still, yeah, I could still get the Medallion of Moria. Wavy silver, don't want that. I wonder what my stats are, like my physical mastery percent. 151, that's not bad, especially for a tank spec. Critical rating, actually good. Finesse is, yeah, that one's going to be a little bit low. But one thing is my tactical mitigation is actually a lot better. I'm up to 52.6%. And my morale, of course, is doing pretty good. Could still use some improvements, of course, like maybe there's a better bow at level 60, a lot better jewelry, I would hope. That's one thing I need to talk to a crafter about if I can. Getting better jewelry now that like the 58 set's actually an option. I don't think my jeweler can quite craft that. I am going to sell real quick. Just want to lock everything that could potentially be useful. I guess the 50 set, don't really need. I hate selling like old teal sets like that, but it's what you do with them. Use them for a while, then sell them to the vendor for 1 copper in this case. See, they don't need a tank. So I believe we are just getting the boss. There is a mob I believe we can get on the right side as well. Here, we'll try 2 packs at once. That's kind of annoying, both these mobs. I didn't realize they would be ranged. It's what makes pulling multiple packs in like any instance or anything like that a bit annoying. Trying to think back to the topic I was talking about though with in-game classes and meta. Oh yeah, just like, so classes that are versatile and can do multiple things. the general philosophy seems to be that they aren't necessarily the best at anything like that. But that's like not the case definitely with Captain, I think, is what that summed up to be. And the blue line for Captain isn't, it's fun to me, fun to play, but it isn't really viable. The damage it does is negligible, definitely. And the healing output is not negligible, but it's not enough for it to be like super viable. Did anybody need the extra quest mobs down here? And we get more Orc Slayer progress. Oh, I need to use. Somebody keeps going blue on the fellowship maneuvers, and it's funny. I know I've clicked random ones just when we have like a rainbow of colors going, just because it's exciting trying to do a random one. We actually have people in the kinship, and our group leader here is more into the fellowship maneuvers and doing the fancy ones. I don't even need to roll on those. I really should pass them because I'm at max reputation. Main thing I get out of those is actually LOTRO points, so maybe even they're one of the things I most need, even though I don't really spend my LOTRO points too much. I don't like totally not spend my LOTRO points. If I find something worth it, which is kind of infrequent at the LOTRO store. Oh, and Stan, I totally read your message, but kind of forgot about that. You asked, is it better to craft jewelry or to do Pelargir Epic Battle? In general, I would actually say the Pelargir Epic Battle can be better, that jewelry. But I don't think it's always the case, and I'm not sure at like endgame at level 130 right now that either of those are even the best, but which one out of those would be better if that's what you're wondering. But I actually think that is a good point. On this character at the level 60 cap, it could be worth running Epic Battles if I really wanted to gear him out, but I don't think what we're doing that will really be necessary. Right, this pack was actually tough. So our first few times in this instance, since instance difficulty, the Moria instance difficulty has come up as a topic in this. Somebody feared him. Could have feared him right into the boss, but I don't think that'll actually trigger it. I have no idea. Is that the hunter's arrow that feared him? There we go. I'm not always a fan of fears and things like that, because normally it's just easier, I think, to AoE them down, and then when they come back, it's a little bit tough keeping things organized. But I don't think it necessarily hurts. It's just a slight annoyance as like a tank sometimes. Usually I pull him way back here a little bit just to give some extra space for the ranged people when he does his AoE. Oh, I totally missed that. This is one I soloed, I don't think quite half of it, but a good chunk of this boss. I think on our first successful completion when we were doing it very low level. I don't think I ever finished that whole thought there. When we first went through this instance, we were very low level, and it was fairly difficult, and even that pull we did before the boss was one that gave like a little bit of trouble. So that is always one option with instances. Do them with a bunch of under-level people, and you'll have built-in challenge from that. Less mechanical challenge, more just general difficulty getting through. Is that a new record? 0 deaths? Because normally we have deaths and, well, deaths throughout the instance, but We actually did on one of the boss fights, the Warg one, the one with all the dots. People gotta remember to remove those, I think, but this boss fight, so I think we are going to do another one. Oh, we're going to do the challenge mode for this one. So that's pretty fun. That one's neat. It is challenging, more challenging, but it's a lot quicker. You just like kind of run to the last boss almost. So the level 53, Beorning isn't earning any XP. I don't know if they're too low level, that's a possibility. I don't know if they're like completely not getting XP, so just want to make sure. What was that? I was doing something. Oh yeah, my legendary weapon, but I think I pretty much settled that. I have it set up, but oh, I still actually need to spin some. So something with these, not trait points, these legacies. Chance for wrath spending plus. So this one's very expensive. Rank 9 is like 180 legacy point thingies. I don't really even know what to call these. Legacy points. But anyway, this takes a ton, even though it'd actually be a little bit nice for the tank spec, the blue line here, but don't actually think it's worth it. Thickened hide duration is like a consideration, but I don't think that gives quite enough that it's really worth the investment, although it's pretty cheap and definitely not that bad, especially getting 10 seconds on that wouldn't even be too bad. I didn't realize it went up that high, basically, and only had 5 ranks, but bear form damage is, of course, a fun one, but that's actually expensive as well, so I'll go ahead and go straight with that one. Okay, so... Oh, this one's safe. So we're ready to go in. My air conditioner finally kicked off. I think it's been on this whole stream. So it's a little bit weird. I have like, it's not a window AC, but it's a window-like AC that's built into the wall, so essentially a window AC. But it normally like will stay on for a long time and cool it off and then stay off for a while. And it this time was just staying off for a really long time. And for some reason wasn't like kicking on at all, even though it was quite a few degrees warmer than what it said. So, yeah, just with the AC, it's a little bit weird and we're working with that, but finally kicked off. It actually feels a bit cooler in here. Hey Taylor Lenny said, oh Moria, you love the time you spent there. Yeah, Moria, these instances are very fun. The first time I went into Moria in general, I wanted out right away. I did not like it. I wanted out so bad I started to level another character and try to skip Moria basically on the second character. But now I do enjoy my time a little bit more in Moria, at least. I hear one of my cats. making a bunch of noise. I think she wants some attention, and I did not know where she was. I don't know if you all can hear it, but it wasn't really meowing, but the kind of growly meow type thing. I don't know how to describe it. Thought I saw a bear there, but it was one of those trolls. It was kind of weird. But yeah, with the challenge mode here, to talk a little bit about that, we have to get to the first boss pretty quick and trigger the devoted. So we get to the second boss real quick, I should say. We actually skipped the org boss, so technically the second boss becomes the first boss. And then after that, we go straight to the last boss. And we don't kill, it says like, do not kill the devoted, do not kill Gothgosh. It's hard to read, the text is a little bit small for me. And then do not kill Glotharok, do not kill the beast, which those are the bosses along the way in this instance, so we have to not kill those. And then the devoted will actually join the last boss fight, so that adds some extra difficulty to not kill him. He has fairly low morale, I think. I think he's technically an elite, but I thought he had lower morale than these elites do, at least. I think, did I just get... Looked like I got a virtue level up. I wasn't... Oh, I guess I should avoid those. I don't think it's that big of a deal that we, like, can't kill these orcs, but to be extra safe. It's kind of neat the orc riders do count as killing both orcs and goblins. I think we're having a champion join our group. Oh, and he just totally jumped over the gate. That's one thing. These mobs, they just skip around and run around so fast that you can't really do anything, and they slowed me. And even though they all might be aggroed on me, they're just super annoying still. On a range class, I don't think they'd be as bad, but if our like hunter tried to just go in here and kill them, they'd do a lot of damage. And I have a lot of mitigation, of course, as a tank, and have a lot of morale, so I'm fairly fine taking the damage, but you'll probably see my morale is dropping pretty decently throughout this fight, especially early on when they were all running about and that stuff. Oops, didn't see this one. So we might actually be getting a minstrel instead of a champion, but I think we have people interested in joining this group is kind of the point. I feel like we're going very slow. I don't know if we actually are, but it just feels like it right now. Probably not the case. But I'm trying to think. There I got a virtue XP thing, got fidelity up. Fidelity is one of the ones with tactical mitigation that'll help. So who might be joining? I'm not sure who might be joining. Actually not sure anybody's going to be joining now. It's kind of odd just because we had somebody who was going to join and then they saw somebody else come online who they thought would join. What happened? Oh, nice. Wow, I have 13 mithril flakes. He said I got something, I didn't hear him say what, but it's a mithril flake. So we're in the mithril league, and like, mithril flake is kind of it's not really our kin logo. It was one of the early versions of our kin logo just because it's an in-game thing. the Stalker. I don't know if that's what got the Runekeeper, but probably not safe that I'm tanking. Oh no, did not mean to back up. I'm doing a bad job tanking right now. I'll just go ahead and pull everything. I can't stand to let these 3 orcs not be in this mess of a pool where our healer already died and I'm not getting aggro on everything. Might as well bring more orcs into that. Yeah, I just thought that fight was going so poorly, I just needed to include more orcs in it. The burglar actually noticed that the fight was going poorly, and then I pulled some more. Oh, we did get somebody in the group. I don't know why that's like such a thing for me to talk about, but I think I talked a little bit about it already. It was just the way it happened that somebody was going to join, then somebody logged in, but already went through all that. It turns out the new one, Lydian the Minstrel, is going to join. Again, I don't know if you all can really tell, but I just feel like I'm going very slow with this stream. I don't even know that it's like necessarily that I'm tired, but it almost feels that way. I know sometimes during streams, like I am a little bit more tired and things go more slowly because of it, but it doesn't really quite feel like that now. I just feel like I'm going extra slow and not really talking about as interesting things, which is kind of good that I had a topic to talk about, but I'm trying to think. I think we're going back this way. Oh yeah, we can't. Wait, can't we? I thought for some reason we could go through this gate. We do not have permission, okay. I don't know what the deal with that gate is then, to be entirely honest. I don't know if it's just something the NPCs use, the actual enemies. Oh yeah, I have to get an XP disabler soon. I'll get to like the very end of level 60 and then get it. And that way I'll be ready to ding level 61 right after we get done with this. I'm actually taking a decent chunk of damage here. Yep. I just have to be a little bit more careful with my healing. Nobody's caught up to me yet, but... did I take a wrong turn or something? Oh, I'm a little bit past that. Like, do I need to go back down to the works? Oh. I thought we were going back towards the beginning. Oh. Yeah, that's a fun room anyway. So we are going to get the wargs, but not the warg boss. I still need wargs. Definitely a good room for that. So they were all waiting for me at the warg zones, waiting up there for them. Plus it's good XP for, especially this weekend. For those of us that still need it. Oh, I just realized our hunter's level 61. We're supposed to have a level cap of 60, I'm not sure. Maybe they're planning on bringing another character. I still need all of those Foundations of Stone instances. Yeah. This group looks pretty good on levels. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that because it is the double XP weekend and I have all those quests for those instances too. If everybody's up for it. I'm getting, I don't know if y'all can see a little bit of lag here, so I'm going to see if it's Chrome using up all my CPU. Actually it is not, I'll just increase the priority of LOTRO. If y'all don't know, on the task manager you can set the priority for LOTRO client 64.exe. This is if you are on Windows. I have no idea for other operating systems, namely Mac, how that would work. But with Windows at least you can do that in the task manager and set the CPU priority higher, and it, at least with me, helps a little bit with the performance, especially while streaming and if I have like a bunch of things open. This is just such a mess of a fight. I don't know why I like to pull two of these groups, but it's more exciting this way, even if it does make the giant mess here. Oh yeah, so we're doing the challenge mode with this boss. That'll be, oops, I did not mean to use whatever potion I used. Meant to go into bear form. Probably hit F4 then, whatever's, probably use the green one, the poison one. This fight was pretty organized because I was able to get my force taunt right away on everything and they're all clumped together, and now keep getting force taunt with Reckless, so no issues with aggro there. So it sounds like I will get the archers and the boss, and we will not kill the devoted, so we have to be, and I think even if I force taunt on him, he would change targets anyway. He just runs around. So unfortunately our burglar, a good single target DPS we have, died from the AoE. Oh, we do have a res though. That part's nice. See, I'm going to, I really don't like that spot. No, I probably shouldn't move him now he's closer to the fire, but I really don't like that spot. And I'm safe to AoE whenever the devoted is not here, but have to just be really careful to pay attention I don't hit him because, again, he has such low morale, he's already actually down 6,000. And one thing that's easy in LOTRO is to not realize some classes have AoEs or like some skills. So one thing with Runekeeper is Fiery Ridicule when you're low level is just, there I used, there I actually hit him, but Fiery Ridicule is like a single target spell. And if I do this view I can get better, but hopefully Ooh, Devoted is going down. But Fiery Ridicule, just as an example, if you're a red line, Runekeeper will eventually actually become an AoE, and I think some Runekeepers that I have played with don't fully realize that. Which it's an easy, relatively easy thing to miss, I think. And even with the Burglar, just because we have one here, I'm not saying that he is like using that. But they have an AoE as well that used to not be their crit response skill. Double-Edged Strike, I think that's what it's called, is now like an AoE. Ooh, Devoted got kind of scarily low. I know he's still at about 7,000 morale, but getting him down 33% a third was a little bit scary. Did we not have any archers? Rib Breaker. Oh, that actually, I don't know why I didn't expect like a one-handed club to look like that, but that's pretty neat. This one's actually worth considering, this earring. I know I don't need the physical mitigation. I'll go ahead and roll on it and think about it later. Cloak of the Stronghold. Probably don't want that one. Well, there's so much loot going on. It's actually not a bad looking spear, I don't think. Don't want that helmet. I feel like that same helmet keeps dropping, but I don't know if it even is that exact one. But I'm just pulling these orcs, so hopefully we kill these orcs if people are still up here. Sounds good. I thought I would see if those orcs were like on those steps, and they were. Yeah. Just a little bit more orcs for us to kill. I don't know if like the people in my group didn't decide to help, if that would have been safe, but I thought it was a fun little investigation at least. And we get more progress with the Orc Slayer deed. We'll probably run this. I only need like 10 more orcs, but we'll probably run this plenty of times where that won't be like a thought even. Speaking of deeds, I should check on my virtues. I know one leveled up. It looks like I have Fidelity as the one selected earning. And yeah, getting my tactical mitigation as far as the content we're doing, getting that up will be good. Maybe I could start working on tolerance, but I'll try to remember to check it again later and just work on fidelity for now. So I'm trying to think of like town type things I need to do, and I actually don't think it's anything. I'm pretty sure I've gotten through basically everything I need on this character, getting his legendary items, that sort of stuff set up, and things like that. Everything seems to be pretty taken care of. Don't want that helmet. Those shoulders, or that hood rather, is an essence one, so it's kind of interesting, so just keeping it. Because of that, don't want those shoulders. Don't want that helmet. And don't actually have many allies to destroy. Nothing in my overflow, so all that's taken care of, but we are going to be just a little bit of a break before our next instance. I'm not sure exactly which one we're starting up next, but yeah, that is just what is going on. Gotta find something to do on this character. Could go ahead and travel to the Oh, that's where the Forges of Khazad-dûm is. To the Foundations of Stone. I should have some quest turn-ins after our next instance over there, so I can at least start heading there and then maybe exploring the landscape or something a little bit. Where do I need to go? Oh, that's actually a swift travel. I didn't even realize that. So, yeah, I guess I can go ahead and head there. I don't think, because this is a swift travel, there's anything like that urgently needs to get done here. One thing I could look at, I don't really know that I need to explore the landscape either. Scumville. So that's where Scumville is. I didn't actually know where the instance was. That's pretty neat. I know Darnarbigad is there. Thought there was another instance. Maybe it's just Scumville. I know the quests are all in Foundations of Stone for like the 16th Hall and a few of the other ones that don't really seem like they'd actually be in this zone. So to look, I actually have the full list of instances now. I can... Darnarbigad might actually be a level 61. But yeah, I have all of these. I have the Vile Maw, that's the Watcher, and Philical is the Turtle. So we can do those exciting things. We could maybe... Turtle's pretty quick. I wonder if we could try that this evening if there's time after the last instance we do. Oh, you can scale Thring. I didn't realize that. I wonder if the rewards... Of course, if you're running like at the level cap, you want to run that at the level cap. But I wonder how the rewards scale with that. Not entirely sure. Oh, there's Darnarbigad. That's, yeah, considered Lothorian. But yeah, all these instances opened up. They're all things I can do now. So today we ran the Grand Stair, which I think is actually one of the most common ones that I see groups looking for in Moria, as far as those instances go. It's really good. It has a ton of quests, and so do the Forges of Khazad-dûm and Filgashin. They have a lot of quests associated with them, and even the ones I still have. But just compared to Grand Stair has the most, and is probably one of the easiest ones for just like people to casually do a pickup group and run. Filgashin just takes a little bit, especially if you go through it and do all the quests. It can be a little bit slow because of that. And the Forges of Khazad-dûm can be tough for pugs, mainly because of mechanics and knowing what to do. And then the 16th Hall, I'm a little bit less familiar with. I have had some trouble with Dark Delvings being a little bit difficult, but the past few times I've run it, there's been like no issues, so I don't know if it was just like my first couple times going through it again. And then the other one, Scumville, is an interesting one because you technically have to do it twice to do the full instance. You do like one side and then you totally restart the instance, reset it, and then you can do the other side and you'll get like a key to do the third side, which is the bottom with the spiders. So that one's kind of interesting because that has a ton of clutter, and well, it's in this zone and it just looks kind of like this. Kind of like the Foundations of Stone here. Maybe I should go to Lothorian on this character, get out of Moria. I feel like he's been stuck in this cave forever, and it's kind of crazy considering our group is planning on spending the rest of the year here running Moria stuff because, well, it's really fun and I think it's a good thing. We've already spent a few weeks here and haven't even done the second half of the regular 6-man instances, which I consider that to be Scumville, the 16th Hall, and Dark Delvings. I thought Dark Delvings was in here. That was the other one I thought was in the Shadowed Refuge. Or not the Shadowed Refuge, yeah, the Shadowed Refuge, that's the name of the camp. I thought that Foundations of Stone is where Dark Delvings was, but I guess I'm not entirely sure. It could actually be here. I might just not have a quest tracked for it. Let's see, that one's 16th Hall, that one is something, that one is 16th Hall, of course. Dark Delving, there we go. Oh no, that's help. Okay, that's to help people with Dark Delving, which doesn't help me. There we go, that's an actual one. So Dark Delving is also in the Darn Orbigud location, okay. That's interesting. I wonder if that's just the way it tracks, or if that's actually where it is, because again, I'm not 100% sure and just don't know for sure where these actually are located, because you don't need to actually run to the instances. You've gotten 2 levels, it looks like, Jimmy. Wow. So our burglar got 2 levels from his Grand Stair quest turn-ins, which is pretty crazy. I'm pretty sure these are regular quests, yeah. I should actually quest through this zone at one point. I think I've done like a tiny bit, but not actually quested through this whole zone. Ooh, I'm not sure. I've had these quests forever, but I can try to share all of them. Oh. Yeah, it looks like I can. But yeah, I guess I will stay here. I have a few extra too. Speaking of that, I don't know if anybody has a jeweler, but I don't know if the level 58 crafted jewelry is any good. I have the 58 heavy armor set I made on my Guardian, but I keep forgetting about the jewelry. And then the other thing is the bow. Just try to upgrade that. The level 50 version I don't think is bad, or the level 50 bow, but could look into crafting a better one on my Warden, my woodworker. And pocket item looks actually somewhat okay. Alright, I wouldn't mind getting the mats, but I'm just curious what it looks like. That's my push to talk button, by the way. I might be able to look on the LOTRO wiki as well. But yeah, it's just something I was thinking about. Yeah, I'm just like really running circles because I'm just waiting for the next instance to start up. Fortunately, that's the way it is right now. Maybe I can share with you all, if I go to the LOTRO wiki, the Moria instance. Or not Moria instance, what am I thinking? I want to run the next Moria instance. Is 16th Hall an option? What? Recipe index. So I'm going to try something. Ooh. I can't tell what you all can see with this, but yeah, I have them. Hopefully I can share. But this is some of the jewelry. Yeah, it doesn't look like that's quite sharing correctly, the display capture there, but can look into getting something like that set up later. I know like before my whole break with YouTube, I had OBS set up a little bit better that I could show that stuff. But anyway, we're doing 16th Hall. Is everybody here? sharing the quests. Yeah, I have all the ones from Foundations of Stone. Oh, they're already on that one. That's not. Then Dungeons of Moria. Oh, I can't share that one. That's the one we're actually in, the Dungeons of Moria challenge, the lost one. I actually have no idea about the challenge here. This is one of the instances I have run the least in Moria. Okay, I have shared all that I have, but I can maybe run through them again to be sure everybody got everything. Just clicking share a bunch. It's fortunate you can do this for people in the group. Somebody's still on. Oh, it says does not have this quest, but would be at an earlier quest. So I don't think the minstrel has picked these up, which is okay. But it looks like everybody that is available except for this one. The ones with the silver rings are the ones that people, you can share them with people and they can be doing that stuff, but Plague Wind. See, did you say Plague Wind? Now I think I've actually shared them all. It just takes a little while because there are so many quests to share them, but okay, so I'm also not sure the quest here. I'm not sure I've actually run 16th Hall when I've had the quest. It's kind of been something I always want to run with the quest, but it's so hard, as we talked about earlier in the stream, to always get groups for these instances. Yeah, I was just thinking that this is probably my least run Moria instance. From what I remember, this instance is fun, but it's like my least run. I prefer it fresh. Oh, taking a lot of damage. I guess I could have waited for everybody to get here, especially the healer, but I'm still surviving at least. That's all that really matters. Of course, I have my cooldowns if I was like ready, but you know, this is something just always on the Beorning that's annoying, is the cooldown on Menacing Maul, or just Relentless Maul. It changes the name based on the spec, but the Maul skill there, as you'll probably see when I go in bear form, it'll like show it's off cooldown when it's actually on cooldown. I don't know if it's just me, but our damage maybe does feel a little bit lower. We did have some people peeling off to get the quest items though, which is okay because so many people do have to pick them up. It'll take a minute, but we get our noxious fungus, yummy stuff, pretty quickly. If this was Minas Morgul, I think they would have us just burn it and not collect it. Yeah, I am. So they were just talking about how tall I am. And from my perspective, there are a bunch of short people in this instance. We have 4 dwarves and 1 hobbit. These instances, for some reason, are also really fun to go back on high-level characters. If you need stuff, they're pretty good for that, but they're also a little bit fun to just run through for some reason. I don't know exactly why. Like, what would make an old instance, fun to go run through where you one-shot everything on a high-level character? Like, why these would be more fun than other instances, but to me, the Moria ones are just, like, more fun to randomly run back on a high-level character. I know you can get, like, traits. Not traits, but you can get virtue XP, which that's really unfortunate. I have to be in man form for this. So there is actually a use for them for a while, but even after that I think they're a little bit fun. And again, you can get all the like Moria reputation stuff if you need that, like on an alt or anything like that. It has, if I can get my words right, it still has its uses to go back and run these, but to me they're just fun to go back and run. And the whole point is, I don't really know why. It's just like a thing that is. Let's try. In a new instance, you always have to try to pull like 2 to 3 groups at once at some point. Gotta learn your limits somehow. There we go. Oh. Did I miss those, Annie? Oopsies. I don't know how I missed all those orcs above. I didn't pay like much attention at all. But finally we got everything pretty much under control. I see they're still fighting some things. Oh, now the archers are running away again. I'm moving so slow. I really like line of sight pulling. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. That's one thing. You have to have a coordinated group, but in general in games, line of sight pulling a lot of mobs like that is ideal and more exciting. But in general, if you're running with people that like don't expect it, I could always tell them that's what I'm going to do, but I don't even always know that I'm going to do it. Some people just have like, if you're experienced in MMOs and with that in general, it's something I think you tend to do, but I don't, as far as a tank, like really do that very frequently here. Yep, you're still healing. So I think our Runekeeper's lagging and isn't really like caught up on the game, but at least she's still healing. So I feel like I should get back to talking about instances and classes and things like that. Covered a lot of things like within game and meta and just general, it seems like philosophies that Standing Stone Games and the developers, when I say Standing Stone Games, I mean like specifically the developers of LOTRO, the people who like focus on the end game balance and even class design a little bit, that sort of stuff. But yeah, as far as that goes, I feel like I pretty much covered everything. One thing that is nice with LOTRO, with some of the recent changes they've done and all the more recent work they have done since like Mordor, even a little bit before that, when they released, I think, the Throne of the Dread Terror raid, they started to go back a little bit to end-game focus, and that was a long time ago now. But with that, I feel like they started stepping in that right direction. And that was a little bit after the transition to Standing Stone Games, I think. But kind of the point here is they made a lot of like the classes I talked about. Minstrel, they up their damage and things like that. And the red line, it made them more viable, and then of course later nerfed and all that sort of stuff. But I think it is good that everything is at least a little bit viable and good enough for like tier 1 content. It's good enough to level in. You can, like Yellow Line Hunter was recently buffed to where it's not horrible, and same with Yellow Line Warden. That used to be really bad, but now it's really good, and it was always a fun spec to me, so it's nice that it's actually decent on Luiden. As far as I'm concerned, going through the landscape significantly easier on the Yellow Line than even the red line, which is weird. So just things like that, I feel like they have been in the right direction in general, and making sure at least each spec has been touched up on and is generally updated and viable. And the problem, I guess, with the highest difficulty, like progression and game balance is, I've talked about this, but for some reason I remember this room, like specifically out of this whole instance. I feel like there have been a few parts I remember a little bit with the way to go and things like that, but this room just like stands out as something I do remember. It's like the most recognizable thing so far for some reason, I don't know why. But to go back to the end game balance, I talked about this a little bit, like you have to do weapon swapping and all that sort of stuff in certain rotations. In LOTRO, I feel like it's crazier than a lot of other games which usually have simple priorities. It's kind of similar in LOTRO, but there are just so many things that can make a small difference, or that seem like small differences in like rotations or just abilities, or even when you press things that actually have a significant impact on gameplay, and coordinating like cooldowns and things like all that goes into in-game content and progression. I think basing end-game balance on that is let's see, I should back up a little bit before I get to that. So with things like that and just how crazy it is, I think it is tough to balance endgame as far as progression grows, like the highest top tier, I guess, rating kins and things like that. It's already tough enough to balance endgame content. Trying to focus on the instance here while talking a little bit. I actually don't know who's healing. For some reason I thought it was the Runekeeper again, but then I clicked on the Minstrel and it looked like maybe they were healing, but maybe they're playing their music to harm the orcs. But anyway, balancing around things like that just because of how crazy it is with LOTRO is definitely going to be difficult. So like if some class was in general doing the most DPS, you could give them a flat damage decrease, like just on all their skills, a broad flat damage decrease, but then you have to consider for non-top tier pushing kinships, like hardcore kinships, I'm trying to think of the right word to call them, progression kins, things like that, how it affects more casual players, levelers. And I think in LOTRO, one of the biggest populations, at least it seems like from what I've seen online, outside of the actual end game actually. It seems like a lot of players don't really do in-game raiding and even just like go through the game solo and just enjoy experiencing the story and going through Middle Earth and going through the game and questing and that type of thing, and don't really care about instances or group content or all this balance sort of things. But you still have to consider how any balance change affects players like that. And then even going to like casual groups and maybe people running level 60 in-game instances like as their end game as a progression group like we are doing. It's oops, I guess I could have been going that whole time. But it's just difficult, I think, with balancing and making sure that everything works for like all those players. And kind of, I guess what I am getting to is, that's done. I was going to try to go in melee. I think that puddle's not. This is weird, boss. Losing my train of thought because of what's going on in game again, but trying to think what my real point of that was. I think I'm like completely lost. This happened earlier in the Grand Stair where I was like completely lost what I was talking about. This boss is just really weird. He's like puking up these gross things. I don't even know if it's puking, but yeah, this I agree he needed to be defeated. I guess he was all fungusified a little bit. But with, I think, just general balancing of classes at endgame, where I was going was, it's difficult if you like nerf a class that the progression kittens are using a lot because it's doing like too much damage for them or something like that. And then maybe because of that, like people that just casually play the class, they'll actually be doing a lot worse because whoever is doing the progression, like whoever plays the class better, maybe they do like twice as much DPS as a regular player of the class because they do some crazy things on it. So with LOTRO in particular, I think that's where I was going with how crazy the endgame stuff is, because there are things like that where with weapon swapping and animation canceling and all those sort of things, how easy it is for classes, different players to have different performance on classes. And then what I think I was getting to, lining up buffs and cooldowns with your kin and all that sort of stuff. So like Oathbreakers and making sure you use your cooldowns on Oathbreakers and all that coordination stuff. All of that really affects, I guess, the scaling with how classes perform. So somebody who's in a kin that's doing all that stuff, they might have like totally different, I guess, parse numbers is the way it would be. With the DPS that some class or some spec does, there are just a lot of variables. And I know a lot of people try to do like solo DPS tests, which is good, but again, I think the scaling is an important thing because some classes do like more crit damage if they get like a crit chance buff from the fellowship, and it really depends on exact group competition and just so many things with that. Let's go ahead and go this way. I think last time we ended up accidentally pulling in a similar type hallway. I don't think I paid attention to like the other side, so we ended up pulling a similar group to this. But kind of my whole point there is that in-game balance is tough, I think, and as far as LOTRO goes, trying to loop this back into what I was talking about earlier. But I think it's just an interesting thing to think about a little bit, because I mostly do stuff like casually. I'm not like, in a progression kin or anything like that. Even on the North server, which there's no like Minas Morgul raids. Here there is in-game content, and even as a kinship, we've done like tier 2 stuff when sometimes there have been 3 tiers, sometimes there have been 2 tiers of the stuff we run. So we have been doing like decently difficult content and trying to improve, but we don't always push the most difficult content, and we aren't like trying to go through it super fast, because some kins, and I mean, it's not like a problem that people enjoy like pushing in-game raids and doing like trying to down a boss or complete the raid server first or world first, as it's called. It's just different players have different preferences for what they do in the game, which definitely is not a problem. Looks like all these guys, no, some of them, they're archers, but it looks like they're throwing, I don't know, puke balls at us, something like that. Not quite sure I can really line of sight around these steps, and then people are just standing out, so I don't think it's gonna work, but at least got the archers. Oh, now they're gonna run away. That's one thing archers actually do in LOTRO, is they run away when you get near them a little bit. I know in other games that is less common. I'm mainly thinking World of Warcraft, because that's the only other game I really pay attention and do enough group content to really know. Really should get that gloves Nanga. Oh, I somehow interrupted my maul skill. I don't know if I accidentally moved after pressing that button. That was kind of frustrating, because that would have been a good AoE chunk there. And I feel like I do decent damage where that actually, with all the AoE going on, would have been pretty decent. We have the Lightning Runekeeper, which should, as far as I know, they do like okay AoE DPS, not like the best. These guys all ran away even if I wasn't going to pull more. Oh, actually, let me make sure the Runekeeper stays up, get a force taunt on all those mobs, and just make sure I have aggro on what I can get aggro on. And then hopefully, see, that was a good part of AoE for Lightning Runekeeper. But otherwise we have the Burglar, who can hit like 3 targets with his double-edged strike, which I know they do good damage with that, but we have way more than 3 targets here. And the Hunter has some AoE skills. I'm not sure what their traits are up to, their class traits. If they have enough to like fully spec into the Rain of Arrows thing, or if that's even something they do. It's been so long since I've really played my Hunter, and I don't know what balance changes they've done over the past year, just how useful those set of traits are anyway. But the whole point is the AoE damage I think ideal is not like totally negligible. And especially like with Relentless, it does a few thousand damage over the duration at least. And that actually leads into a good topic with instances and classes to talk about, which is that the tanks that are most defensive, so you have like Captain and Guardian, they're the lowest damage tanks. As far as I know, Champion is higher damage than Guardian and Captain, but they're also not the most defensive. And Beorning's actually one of the more defensive tanks. They're pretty good with survivability. They don't have as many like super emergency cooldowns, which is one thing that makes Guardian and Captain both pretty useful, is emergency style cooldowns. They're just really helpful for tanks, and kind of my point here is the damage I think that tanks do is somewhat well balanced with how defensive they are. Oh, taking a lot of damage there, just kiting a little bit. We actually split up the rooms. I'm not sure that was With how much damage I took there, I'm not really sure the other 3 could have done that too. Ooh. I wasn't paying too much attention to my morale. I saw I was getting a little bit low. Y'all probably saw me backtracking a little bit. Could have used my cooldown or something, but... There we go. Yeah, that never works. Oh, so many items in my inventory I didn't even notice. I am going to take this opportunity to sell. So am I Scooby-Doo now? So they were talking, I did not mean to sell my dwarf reputation items. Buy back, there we go. So they were talking about Scooby-Doo, how you like split up and do all that. Yep. See, Gunlong knows the way. This room's actually a little bit different. There's like poison clouds. Looks like things are going a lot smoother. I noticed my morale hasn't dropped as much. I don't know, that's one thing with having a Runekeeper healer that's not necessarily a bad thing, but if they get a bunch of heal over times on you before a fight, you'll probably notice throughout the fight that it's smoother, at least at the start of it. Which again isn't like a bad thing. With the Runekeeper, it's just something, as a healer, you probably want to keep in mind that precasting your heal over times can help with the tank, but then at the same time it can also cause the healer to get aggro if the tank isn't doing anything to get aggro, and sometimes, like I do, I just like run around and get some mobs. Guess I need to... Oops. Alright, all in? Okay. I did not mean to shut them out. As fun as it would have been to try to like solo or duo, I think somebody else was stuck with me. I think I only ran it. Oops. I think I only ran it like once or twice when I came out on the server and no other times. I think... Really? So this is a totally random thing, but I don't know if anybody is familiar with the Halo game series. I assume most people would be familiar with that, but it's like totally different from LOTRO. But these are actually reminding me of the Flood from Halo. I don't know, it's been a long time since I played Halo and actually encountered Flood. I used to play console games a little bit more on the Xbox 360, but I haven't played any console game in a long while. So far I'm liking this instance though. I don't know about you all. Sounds like other people are enjoying it as well. I just think people don't really run it often. As I've talked about, I've run it just a couple times, I think, when these servers came on it, and before that I never ran it. I think I've gone back maybe once or twice on a high level character, but otherwise kind of remember this jump, like, randomly enough. I don't remember that previous boss fight, but I don't even know if I remember the specific jump, but this area, this cave, does look a little bit more familiar. Wow. Sounds like back in the day they ran this with 5 burglars and how to use fellowship maneuvers. I know fellowship maneuvers back in the old days of LOTRO were generally more useful, and there I am just ignoring one. Fortunately, I don't think they stack anymore. That would be fun though. So is straight the way we're supposed to go? Okay. Right. Oh, these little ones do count for the Grodbog Slayer. I was just looking up there. For some reason I thought this looked just like Scumfill when we came out here. That's why I didn't know if it was part of the instance, if it was just like what used to be Scumfill. I didn't know if they were connected at some point. I really shouldn't use my big force taunt, but it's kind of funny, there's so many little things just gotta hit them somehow. The one with 20 first health? So this is in the same zone that 21st Hall is in? Or the Far East one? Oh. Am I getting the whatever one you were thinking of that I can't think of the name, with Noonmalek? I gotta look at the map now. And Moria. Yeah, Noonmalek is the one with first hall. Oh, the hunter died. I think she got tossed off. Did you say hobbits laughing? Oh, I haven't heard of that. I don't know what this is. They said there's a lot of like laughing hobbits things. So I'm not sure what they're talking about. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. So you can, it sounds like the queen summoned the little Grod box, and you can just complete your deed by waiting for the queen to summon a bunch of the little Grod bog worker type ones. But yeah, we'll probably get, let's see. Oh, we still have, I thought we got the queen down, whoops. Alright, still in combat with something. You all still in combat? But as far as Grodbog go, I need like 172. There we go. Alright, I think we're about ready to pull again. But yeah, this seems like a crazy instance, good instance for getting Grodbog and, well, Grodbog and then Globsnaga D done as well for whatever zone it is in. So this counts as Moria as a whole and defeat insects in the 16th hall, which there are a ton of those who are already on the, oh, we actually just completed the advanced one. Crazy. I think I went to a dead end on accident. Oh, we have to go down this little waterfall-y thing. Yeah. So they were just talking about Scumfill, how it is weird you have to do it once, then run out, reset it, do the other side, and then finally you can do the bottom and have your complete run, but it's really 2 runs. I don't know why they set it up like that. Oh. Apparently we're already on the final boss. This was a pretty... I don't know, I expected this instance to be a lot longer. Oh, I remember this. We can't have anything that reflects. I remember that part of this fight. Don't think... This one's plus 10% devastate magnitude, so just can't have anything that reflects damage. Alright. So, I'm gonna learn this fight because I really don't know it besides the reflect. Oh, so we can't kill the Grodbog, the little guys, in the AoEs. So this is going to be crazy. But yeah, no AoE. Oh yeah, it says do not kill the fungal workers for the challenge. So I might actually move these skills because I have a tendency to try to hit them. But yeah, I just don't want to be with AoEs, especially careful to not cast them here. And I know, like, I just have a tendency to press 1, 2, and bear form. It's just so easy and fun with how quick everything is to go 1, 2, 4 as far as like my rotation, not really rotation, but skills I use goes. And 2 is an AoE, so it just frequently comes in the mix. Looks like all the grid bug, however you call it for the plural. But yeah, this is going to be probably a bit slow because it's single target only. Oh, is it the Grodbog killing you? It's kind of odd I can't do my push to talk my Z button at the same time and hit skills. I would force taunt all these if I could safely without killing them, but my force taunt does damage and they only have 500 something health. I think that's why it's really important you don't have any reflex and very careful about the AoEs. But I also have to be really careful to not hit that AoE, so I'm gonna move that as well. Because it is a real possibility just because it's at 7 a little bit harder to stretch my finger that way and kind of pretty easy to miss. Oh, we're actually doing good. His morale's going like way down. I didn't realize we were this close to done with the fight, to be honest. Looks like, I don't know again if the minstrel, I think the minstrel is healing. But we have one non-healing runekeeper. Okay, I'm gonna have to use a potion. And I'll use one of these fancy potions. Really just cutting the oh no, I was about to use my cooldown. Wow, that was really unfortunate timing with his little 5,000 combo there. But that's unfortunate. We got pretty close and I kind of forgot about my cooldowns and I could have actually used those and been better on morale. So I would say that's definitely a little bit my fault at the end there for dying. I know in general I like Cult Fellowship died, but as far as like being able to take on the rest, I really feel like I should have been able to. But this is going to probably be a bit of a long run back, but that's okay, I'm in bear form. I'm surprised everybody resurrected. Usually just let the fastest person run back. I think they even mentioned the bear is, and I don't mind running back. It gives me something to do other than just sit there, and as you all know from previous streams back when we were doing like Rift of Ner'zghashu, whenever we'd wipe, I'd be sitting there doing nothing and have like nothing to actually talk about with the stream. Have to come up. Yep. So yeah, just running back gives me a little bit of something to do. I used to always go to like my screenshots folder just to have something to do, something to show while I'm dead so there's nothing going on. And also would inspect all the players, be nosy about their gear and pick on it. But yeah, that's what I filled the downtime of when I was dead with. I don't even know which potion is which. These are just the ones that I never basically use, so I'm trying to actually use them when I need them. So this one gives a little bit of a bubble, but not even that much. I don't know if the other one restored morale, but it's one of those fancy potions that I think have come with like coupon codes or Hobbit gifts maybe, because I do not buy that stuff, definitely. I don't think potions are quite that much worth buying. as far as at least I am concerned with my LOTRO points. I don't mean just by saying that to criticize people that might buy potions, because it can be. I really don't know the price on them to actually fairly say it's like just definitely a bad option to buy potions, but just to think about it from that perspective, I don't think. I wonder why I had this helmet locked. Do not want Bergchlim. But I gotta remember the way. Here we go. I know I was focused on my inventory, but so I didn't see where we actually needed to go, but getting pretty close. This was honestly a pretty short run, especially on bear form, compared to how long it took us to get through the instance here. Which again, the overall instance is actually quicker than I thought it would be. Yeah, I'll go ahead and... I guess I didn't need to res these people. I could wait. I'll let somebody who needs a res deed and do it. Maybe. It looks like it will be the runekeeper I rest that gets the res deed progress. Which kind of sucks because the other runekeeper here, I don't know if they even need the res deed progress. It's just something on my mind. Because I know it's a thing. Oh, I just used the token. Just want to make sure he didn't waste another token. I don't really mean to say this as I'm not having fun, but one thing I was kind of almost hoping was that the stream would get done a little bit early. Again, it's not a bad thing that it's going along, but usually our events last about 2 hours. Of course, we're doing something new and it's pretty fun. But as far as like tomorrow goes, just for tomorrow, getting done a little bit earlier could have been better, but again, I wonder how long I've been on the combat tab. Haven't really been paying attention. But yeah, last time I really should have had this when it was down to the solo part. I was just bad management, not thinking about my cooldowns and keeping stuff like that up. But this time hopefully the fight in general will go better. I'll actually get an early force taunt here and stuff. Okay. Now my cat, I say I'm going to get a better start and then my cat ran right in front of my screen, so I could not see what was going on for a second there. Oh yeah, we're getting yellow fellowship maneuver. But I have another force taunt. I don't think I'm doing bad on aggro, but just to be extra safe and sure on that. This would actually be a time I could safely use an AoE because all the Grodbog are on the minstrel. It's kind of funny. People are taking a ton of damage. I didn't even mean to go out of bear form. But just, yeah, being extra careful with my cooldowns now, going to use them if I notice any dip, but everybody of course is still alive and we have our healers up, so I'm actually being more mindful of that. Oops. I was trying to drag the boss away from the minstrel, but there we go. We got the challenge mode done and everything with it. Get my skills back to where they normally are. That was some good kiting though. Let's see what loot the actual boss has. Well, I don't think that was the chest. Yeah, he looted the chest. I just looted the boss, and it's something different, I think. Fungal mushroom, because that's what you really want in your new Rohan house. It'd go really great in your all's new houses. So they're trying to convince me to get a Rohan house since I mentioned that. See, that I would actually consider, because I already have the LOTRO points. I just don't want to spend my LOTRO points. But yeah, that I've talked about this at some point, but there was like a pack that had like 400 mythal coins for like 3,000 points or something, and it had a bunch of other things with it. Probably could have bought one or two more of those. But one thing is, like with the server, I have 341 mithril coins now, so even with mithril coins, I'm a bit stingy. So like on this character, ideally I'd have a red line, blue line, and yellow line set up. I wouldn't have to like respec each time. Synth. Ooh, I have a ton of these relics. I guess I can go ahead and combine those. But I think as far as today, we're probably about done. I had a lot of fun running through some of these Moria instances. Oh, I got too many requests and slowed down for combining too many things. That's something that used to happen like all the time. And now you can combine a bunch. It usually doesn't happen because it's hard to go that quick, but I just had so many on this character. Yeah, wait for... There we go. And then tier 2, combine all these. Yeah, you do. Although, I'd vote Moria instances. Of course, like the 3-man Heregian instances are great for XP because there are so many quests with them. Yeah. Oh. So this is kind of funny. The guy I'm playing with, one of the people in the group, he's in Japan, I think. Yeah, you said yesterday. I was like, that was this morning, but I forgot where you are. But yeah, that was yesterday for him, even though it was this morning for me. It's like it wasn't quite that long ago, but it really was. Anyway, have turn-ins. You all should... you all should just have quest turn-ins at the Shadowed Refuge, and I think the little cave has some more turn-ins. Maybe. I'm checking in here just in case. But I thought I had more turn-ins here. Yeah, there are a couple turn-ins inside the little cave as well. Okay. But yeah, there should just be a few turn-ins outside at the camp, and then a little bit northeast the cave has 3 more. So as far as this stream goes, it's probably a good time to wrap it up because we are done with everything again. I had a lot of fun, especially with the 16th hull, just because I haven't ran that one that much. It was nice seeing that again for not the first time, but in a way it was like the first time in a really long time. Oh yeah, I have to equip my stuff again, my pocket item, the one that reflects damage. Otherwise, everything else I can sell. I will look at the Warden Shield. It's actually a little bit of a neat look, but I don't think that's one I'd ever use cosmetically. But otherwise, tomorrow, again, I plan to have a very long stream on Louisden and Minusmorgul, so that should be very fun. And otherwise, upcoming content, I was going to have a video Monday, but because I'm doing a stream all day, that's going to be pushed back. I do plan to have a little bit more with like actual video and non-stream content next week, just to give a little bit of an outlook. But otherwise, that is what is going on. And I'm excited to get to Louisden, and I've had a lot of fun on Moria, so all good with LOTRO lately. Anyway, as far as this stream goes, I hope you all did enjoy it running through the Moria instances, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing for more, or joining my channel as a member. And thanks for watching and joining, everyone.